to offer this one to you.
A pedagogy of play by David Ramsey. Play is freedom. It's democracy in action, a revolution and a challenge to systems, structures, and dynamics that subjugate and oppress. Play is optimism, the generative space and time that sustains all that is most positive in the world. Play says that the world doesn't have to be like this. The world doesn't have to be the way it is today. Play says that the world can be bigger, smaller, scarier, safer, happier, or sadder. It can be any of these things, or all of these at once, and infinitely more. Play is possibility in its purest form. Play is hope. Play is change. Play is shaping the world in the image of our dreams and fears instead of allowing the world to shape our lives. Play is power. In play, we are able to take the world as it is and create the world as it could be, should be, would be, yeah.
So when I was in seminary, I chose to do my required hospital chaplaincy internship during the school year, rather than during the summer intensive that most students in seminary chose for their hospital training, chaplaincy training. And the reason for this was not actually any logistical school credit reason or anything like that. It was because I actually wanted to go to the UU summer camp that I had been working at since college. And I got some funny looks about that. Looks that implied that summer camp wasn't exactly grown up enough for someone in grad school. Looks that implied that it wasn't a serious enough thing to do with my summer, or looks that subtly or not so subtly made me feel like I had to defend my decision. When I explained this to my hospital chaplaincy supervisor, who incidentally was also Nathan's supervisor, why I loved working at camp so much, she said, "That is the most serious theology of play I have ever heard." I think he might be right. But if there's anything that I've learned in preparing for this sermon this week, it's that play is a serious topic. And play among adults is also seriously stigmatized and could use some rebranding. So that summer, like so many other summers, including this one, I went to camp in part because I love working with young people, and I could job at that. In part because it teaches me more about ministry with young people than any seminary class ever did. And in part because the woods are so beautiful, and in part because I love a values-based community, and I could job for that. And in part because one of the most powerful ways that we create values-based community is by playing together. At this particular camp, there are no required programs. It's not material intensive. There's a lake, but it's over a mile walk away. We spend our days in workshops and play shops and we have run-around games, and in the evenings we have chapel services and check-in with our cabins. And besides eating meals, the only agenda that we really have for those 2 weeks together is building an inclusive and loving community that rests in that balance between the individual and the community, our interdependence. My experience at camp has been that our play together during the day makes our check-ins and our chapels together deeper, and vice versa. When we're playing together, when we're open to spontaneity, when we're goofing around, it's deeper because we also have time to really hear about one another's lives. Time moves in a funny way at camp, too, lots of people say. We actually have a name for it. It's called the Row Zone, because the camp is called Grow. And we know that sometimes days feel like weeks and weeks feel like days, and I come back each year simultaneously exhausted and so rejuvenated. So this summer, I came back wondering how to incorporate the things I love about camp into the rest of my life. How to bring camp home for me. How to relax and play more, how to be outside more, how to get into that deep flow of time more often. So I did some digging into the research on play, and there is a ton of it. Did you know that there's a National Institute for Play? Yeah, I'm very serious. There is. It's that important. There's lots the means are more valued than the end. You don't have to produce anything in play. It's somehow removed from real or serious life, which I think is why grown-ups can have a hard time with it. And it's intrinsically motivated, it's done for its own sake, and it involves an active, alert, but not stressed state of mind. It's well known that play is critical to children's development, and that cross-species animals engage in play behavior as a way of exploring boundaries and building trust. Children in our society usually have permission to play, while adults often don't. But it is also critical to adults' well-being and mental health as well. The need for play does not actually diminish as we grow older. The only thing that changes is the social pressure, the structure of our lives, and the stigma against adults playing. And moments of play are not necessarily all or nothing. Play can blend in with other motives and attitudes, and it's not uncommon in adults in particular to mix play with adult responsibilities. So pure play, in the scientific understanding, is seen more often in children than in adults, which is part of why we talk about children playing but adults bringing a playful attitude to things. You don't often hear about adults purely playing. But research shows that play is so good for you. It removes stress and releases endorphins. It can improve brain function and ease depression. It can stimulate the imagination, make problem solving easier, improve relationships with partners, children, co-workers, community members. Play within relationships is critical to the health of those relationships because it builds trust and safety, develops and improves social skills, and teaches cooperation. In fact, people who have serious play deprivation are not only not much fun to be around, but lack of play has also been pointed to as a significant contributing factor in instances of violence. So science has shown that play is critical to the social and emotional health of people of all ages. But I would add that it's critical to our spiritual health as well. If you are like me, then perhaps you have the experience engaging in unstructured play directed by very small children. They're kind of here, you be this difficult to follow character, and I'll be this character that I love from TV or a book, and a seemingly unrelated storyline follows, and you repeat over and over and over, and God have mercy on your soul if you get the storyline wrong. I see some resonance in here. And if you're like me, then perhaps you've also had that feeling of wondering when the interminable play will end, or sifting through to-do lists in the back of your mind, or wondering about the best strategy for transitioning from playtime to lunchtime with minimal tears. Does this ever happen to you? But if you were like me, then you might also have had moments within this time when time starts to move differently, and you realize an hour has gone by somehow, or you've given yourself over to the play and become fully and wholly and joyfully present in it. I use this example because this pattern, this resistance, is this really all we're doing? I have so many other things to do. And the eventual shifting to the present moment is not actually, this pattern is not actually unlike how I engage in spiritual practices. The focus of play is on the experience, not on any particular goal or productivity. It's a time to be rather than to do, to experience rather than to produce. Play is, in a way, an experience and a practice of Sabbath. In play, we enter into sacred time. And in that sacred time, our emphasis shifts to the experience of time as an unearned gift, an experience of grace. We put down calendars and check our phones less often, or not at all. We don't have to rush off to the next thing right away. It is an experience in which I encounter the holy on more than one occasion. About the sacred time of Sabbath, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, a Jewish theologian, writes, "The meaning of Sabbath is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things of space. And on the Sabbath we try to become attuned to the holiness of time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Sabbath and play allows us to creatively imagine a different world. As David Ramsey echoed in our earlier reading, play says that the world does not have to be like this. The world does not have to be the way it is today. Play says that the world can be bigger, smaller, scarier, safer, happier, or sadder. It can be any of those things, or all of these at once, and infinitely more. Play is shaping the world in the image of our dreams and our fears, and instead of allowing the world to shape our lives. In play, we are able to take the world as it is and to create the world as it could be. Play builds a bridge literally between the world as it is and the world as it might be, and fills the gap between the two. And isn't that what religion is about on some level? About the living we do in between being born and between our death. About living in the gap between the world as it is and the world that our hearts know is possible. So when was the last time you played, really played? When was the last time you felt maybe 50% faithful or 75% faithful? And did you look at it and think, oh, that's frivolous? Or did you say, that is deeply spiritual? This fall at church, we will see the beginning of our church's newly formed fellowship team, whose mission is to provide opportunities for the church to deepen opportunities for connection among members of the church. One of the ways that we've talked about doing this among the fellowship team is by playing together more.
Bingo.
Playing? I've been saying, that was all service. So we're doing this by playing together more, having more opportunities to gather, for the chance to be together rather than do together. Because we know that play and fellowship and Sabbath time helps our relationships in our families and in our community. So let's play. Let's keep on playing and know its real depth and capacity for transformation. Or let's play more in our families and as a church community. Let's remove the stigma from adults playing, because we know that we've got science on our side and we love that. So if you don't know where to start, host a game night, go bowling, learn a joke, learn a magic trick, play music, play with children, do a puzzle, throw a ball for a dog, do something for the sake of itself. Resist the compulsion to always be producing, because we know that we are worthy of love and grace and salvation for our very being in this world, not for our doing. Rest assured that you are not wasting time. You are investing in your well-being and the well-being of your families and communities. So play more into community, play into better and deeper relationships, play into the grace and the gift of time. Play into the world as it might be, play into creativity, and play into your very own best self. May it be so, and amen.
Bingo.